Proverbs.
Hello, welcome to another episode of Proverbs of the Black Trauma Therapist, where you will learn wisdom and creative ways to deal with mental and social topics such as depression, trauma, grief, anxiety, and so much more. Hello, I am your host, Theresa White, licensed clinical mental health counselor, registered drama therapist, board certified trainer, and I am the CEO and founder of In Time Creative Counseling Services, Drama for a Change, and Healing is Possible. Welcome to this episode as we finish up talking about those 4 things to do to end on a good year, right? Or on a good note when we get to the end of the year. So, with this being almost the last week of the year, this time we're going to be talking about cluttered or decluttering. And first of all, decluttering our mind. So has anybody ever watched those hoarder shows? You ever seen, and I mean like the real hoarder shows, like when they walk in and you can't even really open the door because even the porch is full of stuff. Um, and it's very unsanitary because, they got animals that have been using the bathroom everywhere, or and I'm gonna say and also there has been these, piles and piles of different objects and clothes and items and all kind of things, right? And when you initially see it, a lot of times people's reaction is very like shocked, disgusted. There's a few different things that people talk about when they see like this clutter, right? Or this hoarder show. And I want you to think about that in the sense of what we're going to talk about on this episode, a cluttered mind. Now, when we talk about, the ways to end on a good note, so if you haven't listened to the first or second episode, this is that time to do so. So as we talked about, the first week was for us to see, lie, and celebrate, right? This is that time to reflect on the year, because if you don't reflect and figure out what took place, you're doing to repeat it, right? So go to that episode if you want to hear more about that. Our last week's episode was setting realistic goals, doable goals for yourself, right? And making sure that those key goals can get accomplished, because nothing is more frustrating than looking at a whole picture and having analysis paralysis, which brings us to today's episode of cluttered mindsets, or just having a cluttered mind. So when you think about those hoarders' houses and people are coming in, let me first say, a lot of times it takes someone else to help them. They have gotten in such a far state of not being able to even walk or move through their house freely that either somebody is called health department, family members have come in, or they've lost relationships. There's a lot of things that takes place because of all the clutter. As a result of this clutter, you're thinking it's just stuff. Why would somebody stop going to someone's house? Because of course, people who care about you want you to be free in the space that you're in, want you to be healthy, right? And so I won't say a lot of, anyone who is a true hoarder, that is a sign that there is some unhealthy behavior somewhere. Now, I say that because I have absolutely probably could be classified in the past as a hoarder, not in that sense of what the shows have demonstrated, but I have, like, when it was DVDs back in the day, I would literally have boxes, and I had probably every movie any movie you can think of, I had it. From old cartoons to movies, like I had all the DVDs, and it makes me want to go, like, I need to go back and get some DVDs. Anyway, but all of those, I mean, they was, I had them stacked in the corner, and, I had all these boxes and shelves of DVDs or shelves of CDs, because I collected movies and music. That was my thing. But after a while, it started to take up so much space that people started to suggest other options, such as like, hey, Theresa, why don't you put this, when it starts getting digital, put this on a computer or put it on a flash drive. And at that time, that was not heard of. I didn't know how to do any of that. I was like, what? No, because what's going to happen to my DVDs? Now, I say all that because that's a lot of times it seems very simple and very like harmless. But when your mind is cluttered, when you have your space is not clear, so it may not be, so far in the state of a hoarder like the show, but there is times that you have, had way too much stuff, basically. I'm also a shoe girl. I like shoes. I like shoes a lot. Or I like pretty shoes. Let me say it that way. I like pretty tennis shoes. I like pretty boots. And I like pretty flats. I like pretty shoes. And so I like colorful, pretty shoes. And so over the years, I also not collected, I bought shoes. But it seemed like I was collecting them because I would probably wear them once or twice. And because I had a particular outfit that I was going to buy or wear with them. And I didn't wear them again until that outfit got worn again. And so after a while, you looked at my closet and was like, you got a lot of shoes. And they was in boxes, like, or in big totes. Now, I say all that to say, when it came time to clean, to move, to shift houses, to go different places, that is when I had to face all the things that I have been collecting and building. And I was like, why do I have all this stuff? Well, the truth of the matter is because a lot of times our mind is cluttered, and our environment is a reflection of what's going on up here. When we think about our minds, and you have papers over here, or a newspaper, and the dishes, and you got all these different things, or shoes and totes. It's because your mind has not been flushed enough to be able to clear up your space. And so you add on, you just keep piling on more things. Just like the mind keeps piling on more tasks, piling on more situations, piling on more stress, piling on more responsibilities. And because the foundation or the things that are up under what you've already piled upon is not being taken care of, then it starts to just build and build and build and become an unhealthy environment for you to think clearly, for you to focus, for you to do what you need to do to be successful in your life. So today we're going to talk about some ways to declutter your mind. So the first thing is, it is important to clear out your physical space. A lot of times, we may say, well, clear, there's a song that says, free your mind and the rest will follow. Be colorblind. Don't be so shallow. Now that second part is about something else, but I love the first part. Free your mind and the rest will follow. Salt and pepper. So when you free up your mind and the rest will follow, that's true. But I want to take a different perspective and say free your space, and your mind will also show that same space, right? It will show that same initiation of clarity. So when we talked about on our previous episodes, when you think about your physical clutter, so right now think about a room or a place, your garage or whatever, that you may have a lot of stuff in. Or even a space that you're like, I really would like to, use this as a different space, but I can't because of all the clutter, because of all the stuff, the drawers. We actually have clutter drawers in our house, in our kitchens, right? We start off with putting important stuff in there, maybe some papers to, some instructions or some, hammers and nails. And before you know it, it's a junk drawer. Again, that's how our mind operates if we don't routinely, as I'm talking about these steps for the ending on the good year or ending on a good note. It's important that we make sure that we are clearing out consistently or routinely. So it's important to clear out your physical space. I will say, like, when I am having a huge project, my space can look very chaotic but I know where everything is. mostly everything. But because I got sticky notes here that explains my process and my papers, or when something comes to my mind, I got to write it down. And instead of doing it in an organized way, I grab what's close and then make sure I'm gonna put it right there so I remember. And then that continues to be the way that I do it. And you see paper after paper after paper, or book after book, grab this book and grab that. And before you know it, it's more items. And then when it comes time to sit down to do that project, then I'm like, wait, where do I begin? And the reason why it's cluttered, or the reason why I'm struggling at that moment, is because my mind is cluttered because I have piled up so many things. I didn't complete one task before I moved on or added more papers or books or whatever to my space. I just kept adding. And then, as we talked about in our first episode, or episode 1 of this series, it's like if I don't reflect that, or look at like that process, I'm doomed to repeat it. And that's what keeps people struggling with focus or lack of focus, is because a lot of times they have so many thoughts up here, so many thoughts. And I'm going to give you at the end of this episode, I'm going to give you a creative method to be able to also declutter your mind. But physically, clear your space and pick a space. And I ain't saying do a whole room. Pick one space, clear your desk, clear your office space, clear the laundry cabinet, clear something, right? Like so. And then when you see that whatever that physical space is clear, you will notice in your system, and I say system is in your body, mind, emotions, your heart, you will notice a shift take place as you see that space cleared up. And imagine if that's what your entire house or mind looks like, right? As again, because when we have that mental clutter, we can't see anything clearly. It's like muck and mire, like again, walking through a hoarder's house. That's how a lot of times our brains are when we are having cluttered thoughts, and we have not cleared up our space. So again, the space is just a representation of what's happening up here. So, for example, if you're coming home every day, you put your mail at the same spot, and you didn't open your mail. I have been guilty of that. I'm gonna get to it, but then before I get to it, I'm doing the dishes, or I cook dinner, and I'm not gonna get to the mail. But then the next day comes, and I go get the mail, and so you start piling up those things the same way I was piling up my discs or my CDs for movies. And so you have to, when you want, then you want like, oh, what was that one bill, or where was that one item? And guess what you got to do? Go through all of that stuff. The same way this hoarder's house. If I want something, if I got to find your cat or your dog, I got to go through all of these things just to get to the living, to get to what's still healthy, to get to even starting to work on what's healthy. That's how it is when we have cluttered minds. It's really difficult, and we struggle to get through all the things that we've put and blocked around that healthy barrier in our mind, or the healthy space in our mind. We've got all these things that are barriers to that healthy space. And so when someone wants to talk to us, or we are wanting to get to that space, or someone else wants to get to that space in a conversation, or to use a gift or your skills or whatever, you're working and you're wanting to focus your school, whatever it may be, it's hard to get through to that healthy part of your brain that can think clearly and get things done, because it's so cluttered and it's so heavy and weighed down. And so, you know what people say with statements like, I got a lot on my mind. Statements like that means you have a cluttered mind. So many thoughts are present, and you haven't dealt with one to be able to clear up one at a time, deal with the rest, right? We just keep piling on, like our mail, like my CDs, just keep piling on and piling on until we're looking for one particular. So first, clear up your physical space, a small physical space. The same way we talked about small doable goals in our last episode, you want to declutter in a small doable manner, because if you try to do it like a hoarder's house, That's going to seem overwhelming if you are not physically or, trained or professionally trained to clean at that kind of capacity. And even if people are, they have a team, right? There's people that are helping them to get all of those things out. So for you personally, do it in small increments, because we talked about in our previous episodes, it's going to be really important that you have that sense of success and accomplishment. And it's way better to do it when it's in small increments, because then you're kind of like biting at the or just say chomping at the bit. You're like biting at, like an elephant is like, um almost like the statement of like eating at an elephant. Like, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time, right? Like, you just small bites until the whole thing is gone. I don't really go eat an elephant, but I'm just saying, like, that's how you look at a monster of a situation, and that's how you tackle it. You have to get clear out in small increments. So clear something small, like a desk, the top of your desk. Some of us got desks with 25 drawers, and it's okay to, if you want to do your whole desk and you got the energy to do that, that's wonderful. But if not, it's okay just to clear a small space in your desk, at the top of your desk, somewhere where you can have a working space. When you think about at school, remember when, you first got to class, you learned and you got the little space in your desk and it's open, free and clear. But after the year goes on, you have a lot of things in your desk, right? And when it comes time to do your work, a lot of times if you have things on top of your desk, the teacher always says, clear your desk, right? We're about to take a test, clear your desk. We're about to go outside, clear your desk. It's because that helps your mindset to get ready for the next task. And it helps your mindset to get ready for bigger things, whether it's a test or quiz or whatever it may be. If you got things all around your desk, you can be distracted really easily. So it's important to clear your desk or clear that home office. And that helps to break down the mental clutter as well. When we think about mental clutter, as we talked about, is unfinished tasks. It's almost like our 25 tabs on our computer or the sticky notes that we have all around our desks. Pick up one and complete that task first. Again, not the whole project, one thing, one task. Sometimes the mental clutter is lingering worries. As again, somebody said, I got a lot on my mind. A lot of your mind typically means you have a lot of worries that are taking place up here, a lot of responsibilities or a lot of unanswered questions, and it's just keeping it going. And you want to make sure that you clean that up, because if you don't clean your space and clean your place up here, clean your place and clean your space up here is what I meant to say. You're doomed again to go into the new year heavy, bogged down, feeling very unmotivated, because to be heavy up here absolutely affects your body. You sulk. Your body literally starts to droop. So as a drama therapist, when we start working on physical movement, we work on ways to lift the body, work on ways to release tension and stress. And so it takes action to do that. And so sometimes we got to clean up some space. Let's move some things around. So a clean environment and an organized environment or organized to-do list, we know can create mental clarity and help you have a strong finish. So this one's a pretty straightforward one. I know sometimes you're like, I'm having a hard time, Theresa. If it gets to that place where you're like the hoarder who really, and I mean like has an emotional response, a very strong emotional response when someone throws something away. I was, throwing shoes away or throwing some of the tapes away. Well, I guess I won't say tapes, with CDs, throwing some of your items away. If there is like, no, I can't throw anything away ever, it may be time to look at going to see a therapist so we can help get your mind clear, because that's not going to be a healthy environment for you. Every season of life is meant for you to take on some new things and take off the old, right? People say out with the old, in with the new, right? Think about, again, from fall to winter. There are fall clothes, and there are some fall clothes that are, kind of transitional, really more so for the warmer weather. And there are some fall clothes that are like your sweaters that can go into the winter. When winter shows up, there are some fall clothes you have to shed. You have to take it off, right? You need to, yep, nope, I'm not, can't wear that. Can't wear the sleeveless shirt. Can't wear things that's going to keep me cold. Can't wear the small jacket because now we're in blizzard weather or we're in weather where it's going to be colder, right? So with that, there's things you have to shed. You can't wear all of it because it's going to make you unhealthy. The same way we think about a natural season and we're taking clothes off or we're moving things around and we start to bring decorations out for the winter time, for that season, and we put away fall decorations, that's the same way you have to think about doing your mental state and your physical space to be able to clear yourself. It's time to shed some things. And if that's a struggle or has been a struggle for years, or you know someone that's struggling in that capacity, feel free to reach out for help. We are here to help. We can go to our website at www.intimeccs.com. And that's not in as in it's over. That's in as in step inside. INTIMECCS.com. Now, I want to give you the creative way that you can help get your mind decluttered, or at least get some organization to it. Because when you organize, then you can know what you need to do first. Because sometimes we have, again, like the hoarder's house, or maybe not is that bad, but wherever we're trying to clear up some space, we're like, where do I start? Right? And we may have a lot of space everywhere that we like, I need to do this, 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 and this. But if you don't have an organization to how you're going to get things done, it's going to just stay cluttered. You're going to feel overwhelmed, as we talked about in our last episode. So get out a piece of paper, scrap paper if you want to. And this is an activity that I do with people that I'm working with called inside my mind or inside my head. So you can just draw a silhouette of your head, and you can draw it however you want. There's no right or wrong. You can be as artistic as you want to be. You can do a stick figure head. It doesn't make a difference. But I want you just to start filling in the space. You can do that with images. You can draw pictures of what's inside your head. You can write you can do it by words. You can do it a mix of pictures and words, statements, song titles, however it resonates with you. That's what's so great about drama therapy and the expressive arts, because there is no one way to do it. So as you do that, you continue to do that and do it until there's no more coming out of your pen. There's no more writing that you're doing. And you can do it just not for a whole lot of time, because I don't want you to overwhelm yourself, but just take 5 minutes and do that. And let's just see what comes out. And then you can look at that and say, okay, well, what came out? And say 5 things came out. Out of these 5 things, what's the easiest thing for me to do first? What's the easiest? And then do that. That's going to be and you can do it, continue to do that. Once that is tackled, do the next easiest thing. And then once that's done, do the next easiest thing, and so forth and so on. And so again, as you're chomping away at the bit and getting things done in a very doable, manageable way, you will start to feel the clutter in your mind decrease. You'll start to feel the space. You'll feel clarity in your head. And there's nothing like going into a new year, a new season with clarity. Nothing like it. I know what direction I'm going into, like a GPS. When you know where you're going, the trip seems like it's faster, doesn't it? That's why it's easier to go home, or faster when you're taking a trip somewhere and you're like, why did it take so long to get here? It's because your mind was trying to pick up on the road or the map to get to the destination. But to come back, you've already been down that road. And so it's a lot easier. So it seems like it went a lot faster to get home than it was to get there, because you already know that route. And so when you do that with your mind, when you have a clearer brain and a clearer mind and a clearer space, it helps you go into that year looking at it with a clear mind and ready to tackle what's new. So I hope that this was helpful for you, this episode of A Cluttered Mind. There is a way to declutter. So the overthinkers, and I'm speaking from my own experience. I have definitely struggled with overthinking, and there's techniques that I have to do so I don't go into the cluttered mind. And so the same way that I'm telling you to do these things, I'm doing these things. I'm clearing out space and I'm cleaning up so that I can go into the new year in my new season with a clear mind, clear space, and ready to focus on what's next in the season. This is Theresa White for Proverbs of the Black Trauma Therapist. Thank you again for listening to our episode. We will pick up next episode on our fourth thing that we will do, our last of the year. And that's where we will talk about some renewal, right? Getting some renewal. This is the time people typically are talking about, New Year's resolutions, right? Resolution means renew a solution, a new solution. And so we're going to talk about some of those things and ways that you can, again, continue to end on a strong note. And on this strong note, please make sure you do that inside your head activity if you are struggling to organize your tasks. And even if you're not, just see how it works. I'm telling you, it's really helpful. Just 5 minutes and organize whatever comes out in the easiest way to do. I would love to hear, so give me some comments. You can definitely comment below on any of our videos, or you can email us at info@endtimeccs.com to give us any feedback that you have that you've done these creative techniques. I would love to hear how it's working out for you. Have a blessed and beautiful week, you all, and hopefully we'll have you join us on the next episode. Bye-bye.